First item is to call the roll.
All right, roll call. Sutter. No. Chafee.
Yes.
Smith.
Here.
Phillips. Adair.
Here.
So we have a quorum, yes.
Next item is to swear in the new board member. I'd like to welcome Jane Adair.
Okay, we're gonna stand up, we'll do this. And I gave you that cheat sheet so you can.
You want me to read this to you?
You just repeat after me.
Okay.
So, then I, Jane Adair,
I, Jane Adair,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma, and that I will not knowingly receive directly or indirectly any money or other valuable things for performance or non-performance of any act or duty. I'll stop there.
Okay. Swear to defend the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma, and that I will not knowingly receive directly or indirectly any money or other valuable thing for the performance or non-performance of any act or duty pertaining to my office other than the compensation allowed by law. I further swear or affirm that I will faithfully discharge as my duties as a 522 EMS Board member.
Good, you did, so, okay. Here, and you guys, I don't know, are any of you notaries?
No.
Well, here's what needs
No.
to be,
Should have been, but I
This-
never did do that.
these are the two, this is her oath of office, and down the loyalty of office, I think Shelley will need both of those,
And she'll
and
notarize.
we can, yeah, she can sign them, I'll attest to them.
Okay.
I actually think I can sign over there on that right side rather than be a notary, but it says somebody besides a notary can sign on that one, I think on the loyalty of office.
Does Jane not have to sign on this?
Yeah, her name's, yeah.
Is there somebody from the sheriff's office? Is Rudy?
Donna might still be here.
I didn't see her in there at all.
I'll bet she's not.
I think Rudy is. He was.
Okay.
It was.
I'll get this to her.
Okay.
Welcome, Jane. Item number 4 is the approval of the minutes of the last meeting, special meeting of November the 30th.
Is she here?
No, but Ruby, he's gonna have to be now.
He's a notary.
I guess so.
Well, I had a chance to review those minutes. So is there a motion that those minutes be approved as written?
I wasn't here, so.
Okay. Well, I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second it. Clerk may call the roll.
Chafee.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Phillips, yes. Adair.
Yes.
Item number 5 is discussion and possible action regarding the EMS consultant position / job description.
Okay, you were not here last time. We did approve an administrative position,
Consultant.
consultant, yes.
Is that the only difference between the motion that died and the one that was approved?
No,
Is the consultant versus administrator?
no. The one that died was actually right up there, Phillips made a motion to hire an administrator. That was a 2-year position at $40,000. And then it was, but that one's the one that died. It went to a motion to approve one at $10,000.
That also died.
That because of a 2-year contract. And then we made the motion to hire one on a 1-year contract at $10,000.
It says it also died.
That one died.
And then the only change is the word administrator becomes consultant.
Right. On a 1-year contract for $10,000 to be evaluated quarterly. That
And that got approved.
That one got approved, yes. The evaluated quarterly basically just meant that if, and Commissioner Hamill was here, David Hamill was here, and he recommended that you just say it quarterly, because if it looks like that we don't need that person, then we won't use that person.
Well, guys, you can't do it because you can't pay anybody because there's nothing in the budget to pay. All the money that comes in is designated to be spent for your 4 expenditures, and the rest of it go to the ambulance services. The ballot did not put anything on there for an administrator.
Did you have any idea then how the other districts are doing that? Because there's other districts in Oklahoma that have administrators.
Well, most all of them do that manage the ambulance service. We're one of a few standalone deals that all you are is a pass-through here of that tax money to the ambulances. And there's no intention by the voters to take money out to pay a salary out of this money. That is the Freedom, Alva, or Winoka's call about how they spend that money. You all are just to pass that money on. Once you receive it, pass it to those entities.
Okay?
And then review their expenditures on a quarterly basis. A lot of them are doing them monthly, where they hire a private firm.
Okay, my question is then, who do you have in mind to do the clerical work?
The secretary of the board.
I'm not doing it anymore. I'm spending 6 to 10 hours every time we have one of these meetings, and I didn't sign up to do that. I mean, because what the thing that was told to me was, just like you just said, we're a pass-through. Well, passing through it and spending 6 to 10 hours of time making these agendas, making these minutes, on the telephone, going to the bond people, I'm not doing that anymore. We have to have, if we're not going to have an administrator, that's fine. We're not going to have a consultant, that's fine. We have to have some clerical work.
Well, it wasn't stated in the ballot that there would be any fund used here except the mandatory, the budget, the budget maker, the auditor, your fees, your bonding, and those 4 things. And I told you the first meeting, those 4 things. The public, what you pay the paper, the bonding, the budget maker, and the auditor.
Well, what you told us the first meeting was that we didn't need an administrator.
Right.
We didn't need one. That wasn't, you can't do one.
No, I told you your only expenses would be those 4 things.
You also told us you don't need an administrator.
Right.
And now you're telling us you can't have one. I don't know if that's a personal opinion or...
No, I went back and reviewed the ballot, and that ballot did not have a place for that. This money is to be distributed to the ambulance districts.
Okay, so now back to my original question. Who's going to do the clerical work?
Well, I mean, if you don't want to do it, I guess we'll find somebody that will.
That's
But it
fine.
has to be volunteer.
You don't have any workers in the, as far as county goes, that can do that clerk?
I mean, Shelley didn't type up your agenda for you?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, we could work it out. We could figure something out. But no, there's no place for that money. That money is intended to go to the ambulance districts. And the only place where they hire administrators is where they manage a lot. Woodward County, Alfalfa County.
Alfalfa County does not have an administrator.
Right, but they could. That could be their first
Oh, we could.
because they manage the ambulance deal. But this is not a management board. And the statute says that it'll be an unpaid board, a voluntary board of 5 people, a minimum of 5 people. And we just can't, that money is to be spent by those ambulance districts. Now, if they want to pay an administrator, if they get together and want to do that, I think that's a doable deal, but that would be their call. And they would take a portion of their money and pull it together, and it'd be a separate deal. That would be between them, for them to decide.
Because that's up to them to decide, and it is not for us to decide.
Right,
But
right.
merely to approve those expenditures
Right,
on a quarterly basis.
right.
And so Joe has been beating his head against the wall, getting this all together and doing a lot of work on his own, and he didn't sign on for that, and I agree that I'm supporting him in that.
But we've got to get some bylaws adopted,
Right.
and we have to appoint probably 2 at least authorized signers for the bank account.
But that's not,
Once we're past that, there shouldn't be.
Right,
I know how much, well, I don't know. I know Joe's
right.
spent hours and hours so far, but I think once we get to
Right.
that point.
The bylaws, they need to be discussed with the, you all need to set up some, the important parts are dates of meetings, but you need to, that date of meeting needs to come in conjunction, to come after these ambulance districts, in my opinion. You can do it how you want, but it needs to come after they all 3 get their bank statements, so you can review those, the closest to that quarterly meeting. Then, and that's when you need to actually set your meeting dates up, is to fall at that time of the month after the last bank statement is came. So you can look at their expenditures and what they did with the money. You need, that bylaws need to say in there what kind of contract you have with each ambulance service.
No, I don't think they have to be that specific.
Well, it's got to state that you have a contract with them.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, but any particulars that you want in there. If you don't think, I think as county government that they should put that money that you give them in a special separate account. That's also your call. So it's transparent and traceable, and the auditor will like that.
My interpretation was that the account should be owned by the Woods County Treasurer.
Okay, is that,
Or Woods County, not,
okay,
and we would set up an account, probably called the Woods County EMS 522.
right, but what I'm talking about, Brett, is after you issue that check to each one of these 3 ambulance services, you ask them to put it in a specific account that just has that money in it. And then, when they bring you that bank statement, it shows you that money going in and the money going out, and you don't have to decide for it. I just think it would be more transparent to
Yeah.
not be commingled with their other budget, is what I'm
I
trying to
was
say.
just concerned about taking county-owned money but that's where it goes,
Yeah.
so.
Right, but that way you all can track it. You see what I'm saying, and there'll be an explanation of where it goes.
And so because of this explanation given by Mr. McMurphy, we need to remove item number 5 from the agenda, and that was the consultant position and possible assignment of that.
I think so.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's go on to item number 6, a discussion of possible action regarding the adopting of the bylaws. And we have some bylaws here that are available for review. Do we want to go through this one at a time, board members?
Well, these are ones that we had put together last time, but now they're going to change because of a consultant. Because I think, if I remember right, that is actually in here, in these bylaws. Yes, it is. Article 4, Section 1, which says the board has the power and duty to hire or dismiss an administrator. I would just say this, on that other pardon that you're talking about on number 5,
Yes.
I think we ought to look into it. I mean, unless they can come up with some way that we are going to have clerical help, you know, and that wasn't just clerical help either. It was actually looking into grants that could booster this. But, you know, if we can't do it, we can't do it, and I truly understand that. I don't want to do something that we can't do. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But
Well, from what Mr. McMurphy has said this evening, he will help us find clerical work.
Yeah.
And in doing so, that person will be responsible to us and will take care of the paperwork that Joe's been doing, because this is too much for one guy.
okay, so we need to, so if we're going to go through these bylaws, I mean, we need to kind of go through each one of them and cross out the part that says about the administrator.
That's correct.
But like Brett said, after we get this all ironed out, it's not gonna be that much, right?
We hope, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't anticipate it
That's what I'm thinking.
being that much, except for doing what our duty called for, and that's
Right.
reviewing and sending.
Yeah.
Right.
And distributing him, you know, to each ambulance.
Right.
And maintaining transparency.
Right. See, I think what you guys are talking about, like grants and all that stuff, that, I think that would be fine for that ambulance district. If they wanted to hire a grant writer for their own personal, with this money, I think that's a legitimate expenditure. But that's their call. You see what I'm saying?
So they make that decision after they get their appropriation.
This board was not designed to be a management board, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. But I will say this, it was designed to make, I don't really know I don't know the best way of saying this, but I am here for the people of Woods County.
Right.
And I hope that these ambulance boards, which I can already tell you by looking into one of these, being Alva, it's not going the way that I thought it was going to go. I mean, when you start out with a $600,000 budget and we're going to give them nearly $300,000 or a little over, and now their budget went up to $700,000, where'd the $200,000 go? I know there's nothing we can do about that. That's not ours. I understand that totally. But it's very frustrating when you say, okay, you had a $600,000 budget, now you got 7, where'd the other $200,000 go? Police department, you know, the garbage department. The voters of Alva are taking it in the seat on that. It's what's happening. Voters of Woods County. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, but see, Joe, that becomes you managing it over here.
I understand.
And this tax was put there to supplement them.
I understand, and I went to the city council meeting and explained that to
I
them.
know, but that's, it's to supplement it, it's not to manage it.
Right. It's just, it's not, I can't understand how people can look people in the face after they do that and say, this is the way it's gonna be, because it's wrong, in my opinion. That's what I wanted to say, so there you go. Okay, Arden, go ahead.
Okay. The name of the ambulance district formed as a result of the vote of the people of Woods County on November 3rd, 2020, as allowed for in Section 9C of Article 10 of the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma, shall be known as the Woods County Emergency Medical Service District, herein referred to as the district. Is there any objection to Section 9? Article 2, to promote quality ambulance services to all of Woods County and to maintain or otherwise operate the emergency medical services within Woods County in accordance with the Oklahoma Emergency Medical Services District Act and such additional powers as may be authorized by the legislature.
That's good.
Article 3, the service area covered by the district is defined as the geographic area lying within the confines of the lines of boundary defined and designated by the state of Oklahoma as Woods County. This area shall, unless subsequently redefined by the board, consist of one district known as the Woods County Ambulance Service District. Now, there was a discussion earlier about where the boundaries of this board were and might include some school board boundaries that no longer apply. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's ambulance districts here that go out of the county, but the deal is those counties already have a 522 in place. Those people are paying their taxes, their ad valorem in the county that the property is. I mean, I don't like that, but I was told that needed to leave that deal alone. So what it amounts to is only, this district is only for Woods County.
The districts that are on file with the state of Oklahoma for the emergency medical services in Woods County, being the three of them, only lies within the county.
Okay.
There is no, it doesn't,
Okay.
we don't extend beyond.
So that's just interlocal agreements where they're going out of the county.
Yes,
Okay.
that's mutually agreements.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Article 4, the Board of Trustees shall have the responsibility to operate the emergency service district and may do so by contract, by organizing or by maintaining the current ambulance services. The board has the power and duty to hire or dismiss an administrator.
That's where we're gonna have to take that part out.
So that will read, the Board of Trustees shall have the responsibility to operate the emergency service district and may do so by contract, organizing, or by maintaining the current ambulance services, period. The rest will be stricken.
Well, no, because if you'll keep on going there, on that next paragraph, it says the board shall have the exclusive control of the expenditures of all the monies collected. I think we have to keep that in there.
Okay, actually, that second sentence in that paragraph wouldn't have been able to apply anyway, because it says that we would promulgate and adopt rules, procedures, and contract provisions, and that is not our responsibility. Is that
Right.
correct?
It's our responsibility to do the contract provisions.
Well, yeah, we do have the contract, but
Okay. So we need to include the contract provisions, is that correct?
we just need to take the word administrator out there. To hire, and the power and duty to hire an administrator, that doesn't need to be in there, right?
Right.
I think the rest of it does need to be in there. I think this is just copy and pasted from another,
From the 522 book.
right, in the book.
Okay, so everyone understand what we have done in striking that
Yep.
administrative portion from the Article 4. The next paragraph of Article 4 says, "The board shall have the exclusive control of the expenditures of all monies collected or deposited to the credit of the Woods County Emergency Medical Service District Fund. Any money drawn from the Woods County Emergency Service District Fund shall require a vote of the board." Now, that is the money that goes to each district each quarter,
Right.
not individual warrants or checks.
Well, you'll have to approve that warrant. Yeah. Yes,
Each quarter.
each one.
Right. Now, will those be stacked like the old-fashioned warrants were and not paid until all of them have been approved? Or will they be
I
written
think-
as checks?
I think that's the way it'll work. They need to
A
be
warrant is
approved.
different from a check.
They need to be approved before awarded.
Okay, very good.
Now, I think one of the things though that right there in that deal is that the division of the money, or do you have it on down there?
I think so, yes. God, there's a lot.
I mean, you follow what I'm saying, each district is supposed to, they get a different amount because of the ad valorem that comes in. They get their share, their ad valorem that was paid in their district's what I'm saying.
Yes, we have that.
Okay,
I just looked at that today. Let's keep on going, or, yes, I know what you're talking about, and we do have that, yes.
Section 2, appointment of the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees of the Woods County Emergency Medical Service District shall be appointed by the Board of County Commissioners of Woods County. The Board of Trustees of the Woods County Emergency Medical Service District shall be comprised of 5 members. Members of the Board of Trustees shall receive no salary or compensation for their service. Members of the Board of Trustees shall each be bonded in the amount of $10,000, which shall be paid by the district. The bond shall be renewed yearly and kept in the possession of the chairman. Now, I understand that the Board of Commissioners is paying that to get us started.
well, I think the way Shelley talked, that means you all have already got money awarded, that you might as well go ahead and
Yes.
pay it this year. It's gonna be a yearly expense anyway.
We're gonna pay it, and I have, well, we have to put it on the next agenda, but I have already talked with McDermott's Insurance, and I have paperwork for us to fill out on that. So we got to start on it, but we have to wait until the next agenda to do our due diligence on it.
Is
Okay?
McDermott Insurance a carrier for other county agencies?
I don't know, Shelley's the one who hooked me up with McDermott.
Randy?
I don't know. I talked to one other county, and the commissioners said they didn't have anything to do with it, the board did it, so that would be, I mean, I'm all about staying local, but, I mean, it's not an agenda item about doing it.
Yeah.
So maybe there should be some checking going on about prices. I mean, it shouldn't be very much per person for $10,000 bond. That's a pretty small bond. And, you know, but I think it's to do I don't know who all offers that or will write them, but, you know, I think it's doing everybody in the county that sells insurance or bonds, they ought to have a shot at it. If, you know, just to make a call about $10,000 bonds is all it would take.
Now, see, that would be another job that Joe would have to do, and I think
Well,
somebody
the only
else-
reason I'm saying that, I mean, when I contacted them, I don't know if we should even be talking about this, but they had never even done one. But she got a writer and she got me the paperwork, but I know it needs to be on an agenda for the next meeting.
I've never been bonded for anything, so I don't know who does that or done,
Well,
but
it's- like I
I
said, they
mean,
said they've never done one,
if
so there
you
may
want-
not be very many people that actually do it.
I mean, I'd be glad to call. That's not a problem.
Well, you might check, if you could check with the city of Alpha to see who they have. I think that's also known as errors and omissions.
No,
No?
no, it's a different deal. Errors and omissions is actually an insurance, and this is a bond.
Corey would be another good option to check with Armstrong, the auditor, of who other agencies or who other districts use.
Well, if McClure's will do it, and I call these other agencies in town and they don't do it, then that's a no-brainer as far as I'm
It's
concerned.
actually
That's-
McDermott's.
Yeah,
You said
Yeah.
clerk.
okay, well, whatever, but anyway, whoever, if there's only one, we'll call it a single source.
Should
then
we
you go
call
on.
Winoka? I don't know if there's insurance agencies in Winoka. Should we call them, Freedom? Do they have, no. Okay, all right, I will get that done.
Yeah,
I
I
will
mean,
do it.
you
I
know,
will do that. I will do it. Yes.
I think that's an easy deal, because that'd be kind of like phone quotes, but that is a professional service, so you really don't have to go out for bids on
Okay.
those kind of deals, but it's just,
Perfect. That was,
it's just a thing, I think, the right thing to do.
that was what I was wondering about more than anything. I didn't want to get in trouble by just going to one and saying, okay, let's do it. So that's good news there. I will call about that. I'll call 2 or 3 people and find out well, I'll ask you that later. Let's go ahead. Otherwise, we're gonna be here till midnight.
Section 3.
Okay.
Well, at least we're not trying to get rid of somebody. Again, okay, the original members of the board shall hold office as follows. At the first meeting of the said board members shall draw lots to determine each member's original length of term of office. I was the big winner on that one. The number of lots to be provided shall be equal to the number of original members of the board. Lots shall be numbered sequentially from 1 through 5. Each original member or members added later shall hold office for the number of years indicated on the said party's lot. Each year as necessary, the Board of County Commissioners of Woods County shall appoint a successor to such member of the Board of Trustees whose term has expired, and such appointments shall be for the term of 5 years. The original members of the Board of Trustees of Woods County Emergency Medical Service District will serve a term of office as follows. From the time of appointment in the calendar year 2021 to the end of the calendar year 2022. In the calendar year of 2022, month of December, the boards of county commissioners of Woods County will appoint the successor to such member whose term has expired, and such subsequent appointments shall be for a term of 5 years. Each year thereafter, in the month of December, the Board of County Commissioners of Woods County shall appoint a successor to such member whose term expired. This appointee will take office in the next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees in January. Does everyone understand?
Yes, and for Jane's information, I was 3, you were 5, Matt Sutter was 1. Well, remember what number you drew?
Must have been 2.
The member at large was drawn for a 4-year term, and that was,
Okay, so you're a 4-year term. You must have been 2, that's right.
yes,
Yep.
that was on 11/30.
Arden's 5.
Can you say that?
Jay, you came in second.
Well, I think that's kind of deceiving,
I think it is too.
because I think it can also be a reappointment, not a new person.
Right. And you can
follow
actually
what-
get off. All you have to do, if you decide you don't want off, is just write a resignation letter and get it to one of the commissioners. Yeah.
We have to fill the slots, but
Right.
just those terms are up, and you know, but you can continue to serve.
Right. Okay.
Section 4, officers and duties. Annually in the month of January, the members of the Board of Trustees shall elect by oral vote the following officers: chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, treasurer, and member at large. It shall be the duty of the chairperson to preside at all meetings and to perform such duties that ordinarily pertain to the office, and to perform such other duties as may from time to time be assigned. The chairperson shall have all rights and privileges as any other member of the board, including the right to vote on questions, and that was a point of discussion at one of our meetings. The vice chairperson shall serve as chairperson during the absence or vacancy of the chairperson. The secretary shall keep all records of the business transactions, keep an authentic record of membership and the attendance at all meetings, and conduct correspondence and duties normally associated with the office. It is the responsibility of the secretary to post the agenda for upcoming meetings.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
I'm there.
Okay. Just so I don't forget. Okay, the meetings, we actually approved having meetings on every 3 months on the second
Tuesday at 5:30.
second Tuesday at 5:30, and I'll give you the meeting minutes of that. But anyway, and then I was supposed to turn it in to Shelley by December the 18th or 24th, whatever it was. 15th. That was not done. Shelley said it's not a problem. We just now have to call them special meetings instead of meetings.
And the only difference is it takes 48 hours notice instead of 24.
Right.
So it has to be posted 2 days prior.
It's
And
the
I
third
apologize,
Tuesday.
I thought I turned it in, but if you remember right, we changed that, and I turned it in the one that we did that before, because we were actually going to do it on Mondays.
Yes.
We changed it to Tuesdays because of holidays and all that. So anyway, it was my mistake, but it's not that big a deal. You're right, 48 hours and special meetings.
It's
Okay.
the third Tuesday at 5:30.
Third Tuesday, yes, third
And-
Tuesday at 5:30.
The next one is April 19th, then July 19th, then October 18th.
So,
I think I have a list.
I do, yeah. That was my fault, I apologize.
The treasurer shall have custody of the funds and give a financial report at each meeting. The accounts of the district shall bear 3 signatures, which can be any 3 of the officers as designated. 2 signatures shall be required on all checks. Now, those are the checks that we will issue to the districts, not the individual district checks to their debtors. Okay.
Yes, right.
The treasurer for audit purposes shall verify the valuations on or by October 1st of each year and the amount of funds to be set aside or encumbered for audit expenses each year. The treasurer shall request a copy of the apportionment ledger from the county treasurer of Woods County at the end of each fiscal year. The board shall review the apportionment ledger at the first meeting after the receipt of the ledger. The treasurer shall prepare the SAI 127 form and return to the county treasurer of Woods County after July 1st of each year. Upon retirement from the office, the treasurer shall turn over to the successor treasurer or the chairperson all funds and records of the district in the retiring treasurer's possession.
Brett, you know what that thing is, that SA
I
127? No? Okay. We'll figure that out.
Is that a county form?
I think that's if there's any federal money. I think that's a federal deal that the auditor wants to have. And like in our instances, FEMA money, things like that, Ethan gets federal grants in here, and that all has to be separated.
Now, we might want to be soul-based, we don't want to be cell-based.
Right.
Make sure this runs smoothly. Okay,
So
vacancy on
it's-
the Board of Trustees.
It's for the county.
To resign from the Board of Trustees before the end of tenure, a letter of resignation shall be sent to the board on act for and acted on at, here's a typo there, and acted on at the regular next meeting or called meeting. Ideally, a position cannot be vacated until a successor is appointed. Any member of the Woods County EMS Board who is absent from 3 consecutive regular meetings without notifying the chairperson or secretary of his or her absence shall be held in violation and shall be dismissed automatically from his or her position on the board. The violators shall be notified of said dismissal by registered letter, a copy of which shall be sent to the Board of County Commissioners of Woods County. In the event of a vacancy on the Woods County Emergency Medical Service District Board, I wish we could abbreviate that, the Board of County Commissioners of Woods County shall appoint a successor who will serve the remainder of the vacant term. Any questions about Section 5?
No, sir.
Section 6, pecuniary interest. No member of the board shall have pecuniary interest either directly or indirectly for purchases for the Woods County Emergency Medical Service District unless said purchases are made on competitive bid. Article 5, meetings, open meeting law. The Board of Trustees is a public body administering public funds and is required to follow the procedures of the open meeting laws. Probably should say the Oklahoma open meeting laws. Should it not, Randy?
Well, yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
Okay. Regular meetings. Regular meetings of the Woods County Emergency Medical Service Board of Trustees will be held quarterly. The time, date, and place of each regular meeting shall be filed annually with the County Clerk of Woods County for the entire calendar year by December 15th. The agenda for regular meetings shall be posted 24 hours in advance on the doors of the Woods County Courthouse. And we've already discussed that we will be having special meetings this year, and that those notices must be posted 48 hours in advance. Am I correct?
Yes.
Section 3, special meetings. Special meetings of the Board of Trustees may be called at any time by order of the chairperson or any two of the members of the board. Notice of the time and place of all special meetings of the Board of Trustees shall be given to each trustee either by mail, email, telephone contact, or by personal delivery at least 24 hours prior to the time set for the special meeting, for the called meeting. The agenda for special meetings shall be posted 48 hours in advance on the doors of the Woods County Courthouse. Section 4. Any questions on Section 3?
No, sir.
Section 4. Quorum. A majority of all members of the Board of Trustees shall constitute a quorum and have the power to transact business. Every act or decision made by the majority of the trustees present at a meeting duly held that there is a quorum present shall be the act of the Board of Trustees. However, if there is not a quorum present, a lesser number may adjourn the meeting but may not transact any business. Any questions on Section 4? Section 5, public comment. At every meeting, if a member of the public would like to have the floor for a comment, they may do so with the permission of any board member. The individual must identify himself or herself with first and last name and must keep comments to 2 minutes or less. Hallelujah. Article number 6, Section 1. An estimate of needs will be written and voted on by the board during the April meeting. Section 2. The annual operations budget shall be prepared by the treasurer or other appropriate person hired by the board and presented to the board in accordance with the applicable state law for a fiscal year running July 1 through July 30th each year. Such operation budgets will be prepared and voted on by the board not later than the October meeting. Prepared by the treasurer or other appropriate person. Any questions about Section 2? Section 3, no expenditure may be made which certifies or which creates a deficit in any fund or which incurs encumbrances or expenditures more than 90% of an appropriation for the funds that have been collected. The board may amend the budget to make supplemental appropriations to any fund up to the amount of additional revenues. Any questions about Article 6?
Hang on, I do have one little question. Randy, can I see that again? Randy, you may be able to answer this for me. Okay, this does say 90%. Did we also keep another 10% back?
No, but the reason being, when you budget, you use 90% of the previous year's money. This is a new beginning, so this is 100% 90 of that. You follow, if you would have been in operations like a year from now, you'll use that figure 90% of that figure for the budget maker will use 90% of last year's budget money to build your budget. Okay, but there was no year before on this, is the reason that showed 100% and you have to. So essentially you end up with a 20% deal.
Okay.
And it says in that statute that after, I think it's determined that 10% you let build a little while, but you don't let it get excessive. You just go ahead and distribute it a couple of years down the road.
So is that 10% then, is that for things like paying for the budget?
That second 10% will be, but the first time it's 10%, that is to allow for errors that were made. Somebody, they thought they'd pay a tax and they find out they didn't have protest and it changes from the estimated amount. You don't get it.
But we're okay to go ahead and pay for, like, I had a couple of bills like the budget. We're okay to go ahead and pay.
Yeah, those have got to be paid. Those will always be paid prior to any money going out to the districts.
Gotcha.
Those are those 4 expenses I were talking about.
Yeah.
And you'll leave some because Marion wants paid too.
Yeah.
And And that's one of the expenditures is getting it published.
Sounds good. All right.
But do those expenditures have to be approved by this board?
But when they are paid, before every warrant has to have a majority, 3 signatures on there before it can be paid.
I thought it said 2.
That's on the checks.
Oh, okay.
But you have to have a quorum to approve. So 3 of you'll have, for sure, 3 have to sign off on those warrants. You follow what I'm saying? To say it was a legal meeting that
Yes.
approved them.
Yes, gotcha. And only two signatures on the check, which will be, one will be yours and, I don't know, let me ask you this, should we, because Brett is obviously going to set the account up, should all 5 of us' name be on there for signature, or just his and one other, or 2 other?
I think that at least 3 of you ought to be on there. I mean, it's
Just in
up to
case we can't find
everybody.
somebody.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, Brett, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. But when we're talking about signatures on the warrant,
That's a check. What?
Oh, he's got the
we received 2 warrants.
Uh-huh.
So the 3 signatures are the endorsement, or these warrants are signed by Shelley Reed.
Well, that would be like appropriations and just, one person can sign off on that. That's like the chairman of our commissioner board, I'm the only one that signs those appropriation money, but I don't endorse any checks. The treasurer, I guess, does that, but, it wouldn't hurt to have 2 endorsers on there either. I don't think, you know what I'm saying? And
I got lost on the three signatures.
well, I was talking about having signature cards at the bank.
Oh.
With 3 or 4, and only gonna take 2 to make it a valid deal, but in case somebody wasn't at a meeting, is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
And I think when you were talking about 3 in the quorum, when they bring the warrants to us, then we have to obviously.
You gotta have 3 of you to approve it.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's
I
what,
got you.
3's a quorum,
Yeah,
is what I was getting
Gotcha.
at there.
And
All right.
that's where the 3 came from.
yes.
Well, you all need to decide who all you have on the signature cards, but I would suggest it was more than just 2. If you gotta have 2 signatures on the warrants, you have 3 or 4 of you sign those signature cards at the bank, so multiple people could write the checks.
But we don't have a bank account yet.
Well,
Right,
no,
right,
we
but
do
that
have
needs to
You
be,
got to have bylaws and signers before we can have a bank.
but that needs to be talked about how many signatures you want, cards at the bank. You know, I mean, I don't care, I don't know if there's any rules on that. But you don't want to limit it to just the 2 that have to
Right.
sign, is all I know.
I mean, I don't see what would hurt to have all 5 of us. Would that hurt anything? I think we'll do it that way, just in case. You
But
know?
in time of necessity, we could just use quorum.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes,
Which
exactly.
would be 3.
Well, that's the only way you can approve and write those checks, is
Yes.
with a 3-member quorum.
Okay, are we ready to go on to Article 7?
Yes, sir.
These bylaws may be amended by a majority vote of all the trustees present, provided that a written copy of such proposed amendment shall be submitted to each member in attendance at the meeting at which it is proposed. Said proposed amendment shall be voted upon at the next regular or special meeting following the presentation of said proposed amendment. Any questions about that? Section 2, the district shall have duration until dissolved as provided by Article 6, Section 9C of the Oklahoma Constitution for subsequent changes in the law. And there we have it. ladies and gentlemen, the bylaws. We've taken out, Joe, would you read the portion that we struck from Article 4?
Yeah, well, now if I can read it now. On Article 4, it's going to say, the board has the power and duty to, what's that word?
Promulgate.
Yeah. Instead of, we're taking out to hire or dismiss an administrator. We're taking that out.
The power to promulgate, that means to formulate and adopt the rules, procedures, and contract provisions without the
And
services.
then the only other thing on Article 5,
Yes,
you said you wanted to put procedures of the Oklahoma open meetings law.
yes.
And that's the only thing I put as a correction. Is that what you all came up with? Okay, so I would make a motion that I guess, do we need to talk about it anymore? I would make a motion that we,
There will be kind of a discussion.
okay, I would make a motion that we approve the bylaws set forth
As amended.
as amended.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
Is there any discussion?
The only thing I questioned, is there, and I couldn't hear everything you were reading at the time, but was there anything in there about the contracts with each ambulance service?
Well,
I mean, I don't think it has to state what it has in it, but you should have a contract with each one of these three.
And that's the
And we're gonna do that
that's the
next.
next item on the
but
agenda.
I don't know that it says it in this bylaws, but we
Well-
are gonna do contracts.
The Board of Trustees shall have the responsibility to operate the Emergency Medical Services District and may do so by contract.
Yes.
So
It
it
was
is
in that.
And
Okay,
section
yes,
just took
okay.
it out of.
In Article 4, yes.
Yeah.
Right, so
Okay.
we're just,
Yes.
Okay.
Right, where was that?
Okay,
Yes,
all right, that's all I did.
it's in there.
The only thing I heard on there is, what's your fiscal year? Because I don't know if Arden just read it wrong, but he said July 1 to July 30th. And so you want to make sure that it's July 1 to June 30th in your bylaws, because that's what a correct fiscal year is.
Thank you, Lisa.
So it doesn't overlap. And I don't know if it was just read wrong or if what it actually states. So,
What section was that in?
Right here, Article 6, Section 2, for the fiscal year running July 1 through June 30th each year.
I think he just read it wrong, but that was the only thing I heard that didn't sound
I
right.
made a mistake.
No. Not at all.
All right.
Thank you. That's why we have public comment. Okay, we're ready to vote on this. Call for the question. Mr. Secretary?
Yes, that's number 6. Okay, Chafee,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Phillips, yes. Adair,
Yes.
Okay, number 6 has been taken care of. Number 7, discussion of possible action regarding EMS contracts with each city for EMS coverage. Now that should be amended to say with each ambulance district, am I correct?
ambulance service
Ambulance service.
or existing ambulance service.
where are you reading that?
That's on the agenda,
Number 7?
number 7.
Discussion contract with each city for EMS coverage. So that should be for each, what are you thinking?
Ambulance service.
Service.
Ambulance service. Okay,
Well, they are a city service, so it's not a big,
Yeah, we're going to do it right.
well,
okay,
We could always redo it.
That's City Hall.
contract.
I mean, maybe it's called
Um,
City Hall. There's not City Hall.
You know, there were several of them. And as I was reading through these today, I mean, we have lots of ones to choose from. And I think the one that I took out that I thought was maybe the most The easiest and the best for us was this one, but I do not have copies. Is there any way we can get copies made?
I'll do it.
Oh, you're a sweetheart.
Don't tell anybody.
There's 4 of them there. Thank you.
Well, Julie, I think we should keep it simple, so if the contract he is proposing is a simple one, I'm certainly going to consider that.
I agree. It's only 4 pages, but some of these are like 10 or 12 pages. And I mean, I think that one has in it everything that we need. I don't remember if it says anything about administrator. I don't know that. I will have, when we get it, we'll go back through there and, you know, we may have to amend some of it. Now, I have a question on the thing that we just, the bylaws. We okayed them. Should I go ahead and have everybody sign this?
No, because there's some typos in there that have to be retyped.
So we'll sign it next time and go from there. And I can get it to Shelley to go.
Yes. Yes.
All right. I just want, like you said, I don't want to be your cellmate. I want to do things right.
Could we be soulmates?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You want to be blood brother?
No, it's all right.
Especially not in this time, huh?
That's right. Besides, when you commit a crime and have an accomplice, they'll turn state's evidence on you every time.
Yeah, and it's when you think you know people.
Never loan money to relatives. If you want to give them money, that's okay.
So
Just don't loan it.
Yep.
I have a question that's not, maybe it's just me, but why do we have to have a contract with the ambulances? Because it's all Woods County. And the 3 ambulances are out the window for freedom. So we already know that because it's Woods County. So what's the contract do?
Because faces change, people change, and
Okay.
you need to say what it is. So anybody can read that and know what you're doing.
Right, okay, all right.
You know, it's not, it's just a business deal more than anything,
Yeah.
but so anybody could be,
Just
aware of what it
So you don't get
says.
into he said, she
yes,
said.
yes.
Okay.
And that is a good idea because, you know, people change.
Yeah, they do.
And if it isn't written down, it didn't happen. So we'll just
Yeah.
get it all in line. And it can be changed. There's provisions for changing that here. Even, there'll be provision for changing the contract.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys can talk about, you approve it, but it should be approved after the 3 ambulance districts have said that they might want to change something. You know, I mean,
Yeah, because you can change.
right.
The bylaws can be changed.
Well, I mean, this contract, I mean,
Right,
just
and the contract can be changed.
approve it with their, pending their approval is, I guess, however you want to do it. And,
I mean, it's a possibility that all 3 contracts won't exactly mirror each other. You can have slight
Wasn't sure if they
deviations.
wanted any or not, but you would,
I think you're about done, aren't you, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave it, I need to get and go check some heifers, but, what I want to do, David, I talked to David Manning today. Now, the way we have to function, and you guys can just give this some thought, and maybe you wanna visit with him. If you start these payments in July of this year, that's everybody's new fiscal year, and you will have a year's tax money there before you make any expenditures out, and that's how we have to function as a county. That's essentially the way the state functions, that's a balanced budget.
So when we paid our 21 taxes, we paid this mill levy.
Yes, they've been paid, that's how you got the money, but this way, if you wait till July to issue that first thing, all the cities have already budgeted for this year. They're operating on an existing budget. So if you wait till July to put that out, you're spending money that is definitely there. You'll know how it's split up quarterly. You should know your expenses, the bonding, all of that. The auditor said, I think it's 10% of the budget, or of your budget's what they charge.
Right.
I mean, you'll know all your expenditures, and then to keep that 10%, you see what I'm saying? And the protests and everything will be over by then.
So your recommendation is,
Well, that's how we have to. And and probably David would be a better source to talk to explain to you, but that's what he thought. But he can explain better why he thinks you should. But, I mean, if it doesn't burden the cities without it, I'm not saying it's a have to, but that's kind of why we set it up quarterly, so you split those up. But, I just think it would be good to visit with him, and probably there's a chance these bylaws, after you get them like you want them, that I need to take those down to Brian Mitchell and get those approved by the ADA.
So we're going to look at this
Yep.
proposed contract for the individual ambulance services, and then after, if we should come to an agreement tonight on
Yeah.
contract, then it has to go out, after being retied possibly, it will go out to each individual ambulance service for them to approve that and then bring it
Yeah,
back
for
to
them,
us.
if they want to make
We'll have
any
our final-
changes, and then you'll vote on any changes they want to put on it.
okay,
Or I think that's kosher, it's more of a get-along deal. It's
so
just my thought.
really and truly then the contract and the bylaws should go to district attorney.
Right.
Okay.
I think we ought to get legal approval.
Do that first, and then.
Well, no, let them critique it. Just so it's agreeable with them is what I'm getting at. They're gonna get the money, just whatever you think in there. But, it kind of sets your terms, and they need to abide by them. Like, I don't know if it's in here, Joe, about them putting that money in a separate account. That's how we have to operate here at the county. Anytime we get any new money, that auditor makes us put it in a specific account. And I think that's no more than right that the 3 ambulance services do that for the tracking purposes. That's why the auditor tells us to do it, so they can see what happens with that money.
Well, the city of Alva got into a little trouble with pool finances, so
Yeah.
we don't want to get in that situation.
And so, well, the city and county government, they operate 2 different ways. I mean, we aren't in business to make money. Cities have that ability to charge for things and make money. So it's 2 different kinds of government. So, I'm just saying to get their approval of these contracts so everybody gets along and it's suitable with everybody. But that's what I'd approve. I'd approve them to go to those entities and let them look at it. Then you guys look at it again, and then we go to the DA with both the bylaws. So they don't have a say about the bylaws. That's you guys.
Right.
So,
Okay.
anyway,
Thank you, sir.
you guys have a good evening.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks for serving. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Okay, let's look at this agreement. It's got my favorite word in it, witness. An agreement entered into the so-and-so day of so-and-so in the year of our Lord by and between the Woods County Emergency Medical Service District Board of Trustees, comprised of there's a typo, area contained within the boundary lines of Woods County, herein referred to as trustees in the city of Alva, Oklahoma, and incorporated municipality herein referred to as provider. Okay, let's take a look at that. The city of Alva doesn't need to be in there. This agreement apparently was typed up.
Right, it's a copy and paste thing.
So how do we need to
Trustees.
correct that in the board? I think you stop at the trustees. And it said the city of Alva, and the ambulance services of Woods County, herein referred to as providers.
There you go. And the ambulance services of Woods County.
Hereinafter referred to as providers.
So we don't need that in incorporated municipality in there either.
No.
Okay.
What was the first part you said was the typo?
Comprised of the area contained
Ah,
instead of,
R.
yeah.
Julie?
Okay, or, let you go.
Okay, sorry to waste time. Okay, under witnessing, whereas the trustees have been created for the express purpose of providing ambulance services for the district comprised of Woods County, and whereas providers are ambulance services hereinafter referred to as system. Now let's review that when we get it changed. When you have it, Joe, would you read it to us?
Whereas providers are ambulance service hereinafter referred to as system.
Are ambulance services hereinafter referred to as system,
System or systems,
systems.
okay?
And
Yeah, and.
whereas the trustees have determined that provider is the best qualified to provide the operation of the system. That these providers are
That these providers
are the best qualified to provide the operation of the system.
that makes a little more sense to me.
Now therefore, in consideration of the mutual covenants, conditions, and promises, the parties hereto agree as follows. Service area.
Some of these are being,
So this part, whenever you're doing it as all of them as a whole, this is gonna get more complicated.
Yeah.
But you can do providers agree to serve
There.
the area of Woods County in accordance with what is on file with the Oklahoma State Department of Health EMS Division.
she's proofread this before, as you can see.
May I?
again, Julie.
Agrees to provide service in the geographic areas of Woods County as on file with the Oklahoma State Department of Health EMS Division.
And that is plural, providers
Yes.
agree. And then doesn't it need to go on?
Did you say service areas?
Yes, because we're talking multi.
Well, I know, so I wanted to make sure it's areas, because like, so you have Major County and Woodward County, and we have to all cover.
Areas of Woods County on file with the Oklahoma State Department of Health EMS Division as of November of 2020. Oh. Geographic areas of Woods County on file with the Oklahoma State Department of Health EMS Division.
As the service areas
Primary service areas
herein
herein.
referred to as a district.
I don't see what's wrong.
Okay.
Okay, Julie, do you have that, Joe, do you have that amended as,
Service
Yeah, the only
area.
thing in there was the
Providers,
northeastern region
Yeah,
needed to
took
be worked.
providers agree to serve the geographic areas of Woods County on file with the Oklahoma State Department of Health EMS Division as of November 2020, as the primary service areas herein referred to as district.
She's got it written
And that makes, that creates the ambulance district. Service providers as are on file with the Oklahoma State Department. Okay, any questions about that, Jane? Clear as mud?
Exactly.
Okay, number 2, terms. The trustees agreed to hire the providers to run and operate the system in the district. Now see, we've defined providers, system, and district up to this point. And there we have the calendar year for the compensation as herein provided. And then should we put in there by, what was the petition called that led to the creation of the board?
The Woods County Emergency Medical Service District,
522.
522.
Why are we gonna muddy the waters more?
So what would you recommend?
You tell me what do you want.
I was just wanting to
Safeguard.
delineate where the money was coming from. That's what the point I was making. Not if it's here and provided, what do you think?
I can stick it in, just tell me where you,
Well, I don't know what to call it.
as the proclamation, as stated in the proclamation,
Okay, let's read that again.
Okay. Terms. The trustees agree to hire providers to run and operate the system in the district from one year to the next for the compensation as herein provided. And I was wanting to add by
Okay.
the proclamation that was passed by the people, I don't know what number it was.
522. You talking about that?
No, that was the establishment of the,
Oh, I don't know what that
The
is.
actual vote, what the
Oh, I
vote
got you.
was,
For
it
the
was on the ballot.
For the compensation as, strike the word here and after, provided by.
resolution number, well, the resolution,
There you go.
yes. Don't you think that needs to be added?
Yeah.
what's my verbiage for it?
As herein provided by resolution number 84103 or whatever it was.
Resolution number 2021-22.
Okay. Really? 20, that was the resolution? Oh, I trust you.
People were wondering why she was here.
She's so smart.
I'm here because of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is all 522 information.
Good for you.
Okay, let's move on.
So if you have 522 questions, call Julie.
Four pebbles.
And you can call me and I'll call in.
That's what I've done.
That's what we do. We may not know it, but we have to call. Okay. The contract shall be automatically extended from July 1st through June 30th, and automatically extend for the same period from year to year thereafter unless one of the following conditions occurs. Either party notifies the other party that the contract is to be terminated at the end of the contract year, no later than the first day of May of such year. Notice of termination shall be deemed complete if the termination is hand-delivered by trustees to the city clerk of the providers or by providers to the county clerk of Woods County. Now, the city clerk, that is referring to the city of Alva again. So we need to do something with that.
Well, it could be City of Alva, or City of Winoka, or City of Freedom.
Is Freedom a city or a town?
Freedom is a town.
Would you not just, instead of having to say providers and all these multiples, you would just have a contract with each person, so you wouldn't have to change that, you would just change City of Alva or town clerk or city clerk for each
Each town,
area.
each service.
Like, we have a contract with, the PD, the SO, and it's just tailored to that person instead of trying to encompass all of it for each thing. Just a thought.
This would also be where your cities could tailor it to how they have to have it, the verbiage under their contracts.
If the termination is hand-delivered by trustees, and that would be us, to the provider, or by the provider to the trustees of the Woods County Ambulance Board as it is written. How does that
I don't know,
sound?
there's a lot of jargon down there that I don't think we need in there.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean,
Either party notifies the other party that the contract will be terminated at the end of no later than the first day of May, period.
Well, that would do it. Yeah, because it goes on to say that it
Yeah,
needs
it's
to be
just,
sent by registered mail and return receipt requested. And so that's just unnecessary. Let's strike that. What do you say?
I agree.
Do you have that, Julie? Can you read that as we get into it?
So you're wanting everything stricken after the first day of May of such year?
Yes.
Either party notifies the other party that the contract is to be terminated at the end of the contract year, no later than the first day of May of such year.
Brett?
I'm good. Yeah, I think that
Jane?
Jane?
Yeah.
reads okay.
All right.
And then Article B says upon mutual agreement of the parties. Then it goes on, upon the default in payment of compensation by the trustees, as herein set forth. Is that a reason for termination? And D, upon the dissolution of the Woods County Emergency Medical Service District as provided by law. So that covers it. So it can be dissolved by mutual agreement. It can be dissolved upon default in payment by the trustees, or it can be dissolved upon dissolution by the Woods County Medical Service District itself as provided by law.
Right. Makes sense.
Okay, then we get down to the money part of it. This is where we don't have the exact figures.
Well, I do have them. I think we all have this.
And that will be individualized by each ambulance service.
Right.
Okay, now what is this payment shall be made as mileage, millage?
Millage.
Millage.
We're gonna get some.
Thought you were gonna get a check.
You're gonna have to keep track of, keep a log.
Millage.
As received by the trustees after deducting the 10% reserves as required by law, after deducting X amount of operating costs of the trust, so you can't do that. Correct?
Well, and that's what I was asking Randy on that. I mean, are we supposed to, you know, pay for the budget, pay for the budget maker, pay for the audit and all those things from the 90%? That's why I think we're only actually getting 80%, because 10% of that is set back aside for delinquent payments and whatever else, and then 10% is set aside for our administrative bills. Did you not think that's right, Brad?
I would interpret it that way.
That's the way I interpreted it.
But we can't deduct a dollar amount as operating costs of the trust.
Right. I don't think we need to put the dollar amount on there.
Okay, let's just say deducting 10% reserves is required by law, period.
Right.
And then we have to get down to another deduction that shouldn't be there. And after deduction of a certain number of dollars as operating expenses for the trust. I don't think that needs to be in there. After deductions of reserves is required by law, and then I think it should say period, or be period.
Okay. What about that mileage part up there again?
Give me a break.
You're doing good,
I
aren't you?
need new glasses.
You're doing
I
good.
need new glasses.
You're not even wearing your glasses.
Say what?
You're not even wearing your glasses.
I need them now. These aren't the right ones for close work.
So you're wanting the entire park stricken of compensation for each contract year and year thereafter shall be in the amount equal to the millage received for the benefit of the EMS district. Are you wanting that stricken or no?
No,
Okay,
It wasn't left alone.
okay.
just after by law.
Okay, I have that already taken out.
Okay.
Prior to payment of any compensation in a new contract year, trustees shall be entitled to, and providers shall submit to the trustees a budget. Oh, now we're getting down to some good stuff. For each contract year, comma, what's that mean?
Got me.
I think that's an error.
Change it to a comma.
Coma or coma?
Coma, yeah.
That sounds like my voice text messages to me sometimes. Surprised I'm still married. Okay, each contract year, which budget shall be accepted by the trustees unless disapproved by them within 30 days of submission. If the total budget amount for the given year is less than the millage income to the trust, the compensation under this contract shall be adjusted to the total budget amount for such contract year. If the total budget is less,
Seems speculative.
I just don't understand that, Brad.
I don't either. So if they go under budget, then is it trying to say they're due their share, or?
No, it says
At
the
first I thought
compensation,
it was flip-flop.
right, it says the compensation shall be adjusted. In other words, that sounds like we wouldn't give more than they budgeted, even if we had it, even if they had that much in their fund.
Well, you mean if we had more money?
No, if they
If
submitted a budget that was less than
Oh, yeah.
what we're planning to allow them.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I don't think that's gonna happen. But, I mean,
No,
you know what I'm saying?
If they budget more than we collect, that's what I thought it was getting at, and it was just flip-flop. But that's not really the case.
what was that verbiage we don't need?
It sounds like it's designed so that like one of the services couldn't stockpile all of their money until a later date. So like, say they want to wait, like build money for 2 or 3 years or 2 or 3 quarters and not spend any of it. When they present their budget for the next time, that they're trying to, you're not gonna allow them that extra money, is how it kind of sounds.
But Randy, at a previous meeting, said that they would be allowed to stockpile.
Yeah,
it
right.
for
And that's
later.
what I think, I'm thinking your contract is saying that it's trying to prevent that, so you would want to take
You
it out.
take that out if you didn't want to prevent that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and
we're gonna-
we want them to be able to do
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Yes.
whether they will or not, that's their
Their
choice.
Your choice,
But-
Depends
I
on
think
depends on the needs of each line.
For instance, if they were wanting to save $30,000 a year, because in 5 years they're gonna buy an ambulance, then they can do that.
Yes.
But I'm gonna say that that's probably not gonna happen anyway. But if that's what that's saying, that they cannot do that, we need to take that out of there.
Yeah, let's strike everything after the 30 days
Strike
of
it.
submission.
Do you want to leave in there any changes to such budget that would result in adjustment of compensation under this contract shall require prior approval of the trustees? Just saying, if they're changing their budget, you're going to be notified of it.
Let me ask you this, Brett, since you're our treasurer. Okay, at the end of the year,
You have approval over us changing our budget.
because of what he said even, at the
Too
end of the year, and if they have money left over, we can still just add that to what their budget is gonna be for the next year.
Oh, I would think they could
Okay.
carry over.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, they would have to, I mean, and it depends
Just
on
like
the
you
needs
said,
of
if they're
each,
saving money
each
by
one,
a
like
new ambulance.
Right.
Alva's needs are.
But we will be able to keep track of that, is what I'm saying.
They should be able to have that, and still get their full amount.
Okay, I think we just scratch it then, Julie, all right?
Personnel, the providers will provide at least the minimum number of certified emergency medical technicians for the system necessary to maintain certification with the Oklahoma State Board of Health. And that would be the law, so we can do anything with that. Equipment, the provider will provide appropriate equipment required and certified by the Oklahoma State Department of Health. Once again, the provider agrees to maintain all vehicles and equipment in good operating condition so as to maintain certification. No changes needed there.
No.
Provider agrees to make such calls outside the district as are consistent with life-saving responsibility of an emergency medical services provider. Out-of-district ambulance calls shall be assigned by the ambulance dispatch and made only if the emergency response within the district is not jeopardized. Out-of-district ambulance calls and services shall be billed in accordance with the requirements of the Oklahoma Constitution, Article 10, Section 9C. And that's currently in,
Is that kosher?
It sounds right.
It's mutual,
Okay.
it's talking about
It's
mutual
talking
aid,
about the
yes.
mutual aid, so basically.
And freedom is the same way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
that falls
Winoka
for-
covers Major County and Woodward County, so basically it's saying we will still respond to those counties, although we are not, like, it's not in our district.
Okay,
But, I don't necessarily agree it's not jeopardized. We send them.
Yeah, I think we should take that out, 'cause it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if Woods County's covered.
If a call
or
comes
not.
into Bowles, we send them, it doesn't, I don't know what that is not jeopardized is referring to, but we send them because that's their area, period.
And then it's usually.
But it's
one of the
more so
other
referring to
services.
the mutual aid sides of it, of going to, if we've already got all the ambulances out and they're still calling for more, we're not going to completely leave areas neglected.
Uncovered.
I mean,
That's what the jeopardizing part is, right?
Yeah,
So it's essentially one ambulance has to be in the service area at all times, or be able to man one. at
But
least
what
one.
about like at Freedom, do they have two?
no,
No,
well, they have two
That's what I'm
trucks,
saying,
but
we don't do that, like, if we send everybody out, we would start collecting from outside sources.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like I said, I mean, Alva.
So Freedom is a little bit different as far as
It's
that.
different everywhere.
Yeah, right.
If we send Alva to Winoka and Alva's left uncovered because they don't have another bus, we would next go to either Kiowa or to Cherokee. We don't let that person suffer. We send them and then we get outside sources on
Right.
standby.
I don't know that you would have to have the jeopardized part in there,
I
because
don't
dispatch
think-
always handles the coverage that way.
I may be
Okay.
overthinking, I don't know what that's referring to.
So the part of the sentence, and made only if the emergency response within the district is not jeopardized, should be removed.
Okay.
So,
Fine with me. I mean, you guys know what's going on there. I don't have any idea what they're talking about there, but it does make sense.
Well, we always used to leave one fire truck at the firehouse if the others all went to
Right.
Rouse Junction.
And I think that's probably what Alva does.
I mean,
it just depends.
Okay.
there's extenuating circumstances that dictate.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's always going to come up something, and these girls will know, that's not foreseen, it's not written down, and you just have to do it.
Yeah, I don't think we want to be too restrictive.
Amen.
Okay.
Number 7 is response time. Provider understands that response time is the most important part of service and accordingly agrees to strive to provide in 95% of the runs a response time of no more than 10 minutes in the district, except in cases of verified routine patient transfer runs.
Talk about that. I mean, is that even possible?
That's a little unreasonable, I think.
I mean, ultimately, that's how we're supposed to do it, but there are a lot of situations that that's not going to happen. Like, take Winoka. Like I said, we may have full time on with this new stuff, but there's a lot of times you're calling for backup, and we're driving
It's
15
10 minutes to
miles
get
to
there.
even get to town to cover that ambulance. Or take Freedom. You have, it's whoever they call out. That's like, or like anybody in town, they call all their EMTs, and either they're there or they're not. And
Is this something we should leave in? And
Is that not the standard?
It is, I
I
mean,
think
this
that's
is,
a standard.
I mean, it's pretty standard.
Yeah, that's a.
Right, that's what I figured. It
Standard,
probably
that
was
probably
standard,
should be in there.
but I didn't know if it was reasonable.
It's absolutely, it's reasonable by state standards.
Right,
It should be.
yeah.
Okay. Do we need to leave that like it is?
It goes back to the extrapolating circumstances.
Now we're gonna get like deducted and fired because we don't do it though. It's kind of
Reports. Providers will provide the trustees with monthly reports by the 10th of each month for activities through the previous month, which will list the ambulance runs for the previous month, a billing summary for charges made to persons provided service, a budget status of the ambulance service, the response time for the ambulance runs, and any other requested reports.
I don't know that we need that in there at all.
That's overreach, in
That's-
my opinion.
That's not our responsibility.
No.
So that's out, number 8.
Proof of certification. Providers will provide the trustees a copy of the annual certification from the Oklahoma State Board of Health, which certification will be certified as true and correct copy by the city clerk of the providers. Oh. What's that have to do with it?
Well, we probably, I don't know if we have to have that or not. I mean, I don't know.
Why would we have to have that? Because
I
that
think
doesn't
we
affect
should strike
any,
that too.
yeah, that doesn't affect any of the money for appropriations that we're trying to do. That affects the ambulance drivers and the ambulance personnel itself.
Okay. Strike. Number 8 word, well, that's actually number 9, but yeah, we're going to strike that. We may get this to another 2 pages here for long.
Okay, this is continued on the top of this.
Yeah, I struck that.
Okay. Proof of insurance. Providers will provide the trustees proof of liability insurance coverage in a minimum amount of the maximum liability minimum amount, maximum liability, okay, under the Oklahoma Tort Claims Act. Is that a standard requirement?
I mean, this is all straight out of the 522 Bible. The reason they're saying
I would think
for the
we would want that to be in
certification,
there.
for the insurance, for those things, the reason is so that that's part of the checks and balances of, you're not just handing a blank check over, like you're making sure that you're giving it to a viable
Sort of.
ambulance service, and you're not just going, okay, here you go. And that's why you're wanting to see
So we can leave
the
that in there.
certification, you're wanting to see if there are the deficiencies of, what are the problems? You can see what, to make sure that the service is going in the way that it should be, that your money's actually being there and you're holding it accountable. And it goes back to the transparency.
Accountability. Number 11, miscellaneous.
So that one's actually gonna be number 8.
That's correct. Miscellaneous. Okay, let's look at these carefully. Provider agrees to comply with all applicable rules, regulations, ordinances, and statutes of the city of Alva.
Okay, take out the city of Alva.
So we leave in of the federal government.
Of the state of Oklahoma, federal government and subject regulatory agencies. Because it has to be complied with the state.
Yep. Okay, so we're just taking out the
City of Alva.
regulations, ordinance, and statutes of the state of Oklahoma. Correct? Okay. Letter B, provider agrees to permit trustees, any agent designated by trustees, free access to the books and equipment for purposes of inspection during routine business hours. This includes copies as requested by the trustees of an annual audit and operating fiscal reports.
This is just where you guys can go in and ask for, to see their budget, where you can't, where you want to see, did their budget change? Are they using this money, and where is it at?
Letter C, this agreement shall be construed in accordance with the laws of the state of Oklahoma. Nothing in this agreement shall be construed as creating a partnership relation between the parties hereto.
What does it mean? We're not a partnership, what's it trying to say?
I know that's been in multiple different sections of contracts, not just the one in here.
Well, with the district attorney, let's let the district attorney.
Clear separation of this board from the individual providers.
I mean, I would guess that you were on the right track there.
Let's leave
Well,
it.
I think we'll leave it in there, and then if they, that may be something they want to take out, or the DA wants to take out.
And they're gonna come up with some changes.
Yeah, I agree, even B, they're probably gonna say, well, that's none of their business.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that, but we can leave it there and we can go from there. They change it, and may give them something to change.
And letter E really takes us off the hook because it says, all matters relating to the direct management of the provider's personnel are exclusively the responsibility of the providers. This includes employment and dismissal of personnel, development of job descriptions, determination of relative job status, and development and administration of wage and salary scales, and other matter pertinent to the direct management of personnel involved in providing quality emergency medical care.
Yep.
And finally, this contract may be amended by the mutual consent of both parties at any time. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a proposal to give to our entities.
So we need to take this, after we get it changed, take this to all of the ambulance services. They need to look over it, and then we will get it then to the DA, and then we'll come back the next meeting we have and we'll okay it.
So, question, did you want the proof of certification left in there along with the proof of insurance, yes or no?
That would be on number,
That was number 9.
Do we need it though, Julie? Because they have to be certified in order to operate. So we need proof of insurance, but do we need proof of certification?
is that, I mean, that's not gonna fall back on us.
It doesn't affect this board.
It could if you give a board, if you gave money to somebody that's lost their certification.
Oh, I
If-
guess that's true, yeah.
If Alva has lost their certification for whatever,
Or if it's been
Freedom
revoked
lost
or
it.
suspended for a reason, you'd want that to be something.
I think all you need is a copy of their license, like the services licensure, showing where it has been approved each year by the state to continue on as a service.
Yeah.
So we leave that one in there, that one's number 9. Okay?
That's just considered oversight, I think.
I mean, it's an easy thing to provide, like, because
Yeah,
it gives you.
it's a big picture
Yeah.
that has to be posted.
Yeah.
Well, and on your B part that you were talking about like going into their, on a daily basis or during business hours, that you could use that as when you're actually requesting their bank statements to what they've spent up to this point. So if you are worried, say you get to a point where you're worried about what one of them has spent, you could walk in there during business hours and say, okay, I need your for you to provide bank statements for what all you have expended up until this point. And that's your check of if you think that one of them is spending on something that you're not quite sure that should be approved down the road.
Okay, that makes sense.
So,
So call for a motion.
is there a motion to approve this contract?
I move that the agreement as amended between the trustees and the provider agreement be approved as amended.
Is there a second?
I double said that.
We understand.
I just wanted to make it real clear for the record.
Sure.
I second it.
Okay, is there any discussion?
One point that I want to make on Pebbles' part is she has, I think it was with Pebbles, was the discussion about the money being kept in a separate account. That would need to be, if that is something you guys want, that would need to be
Oh,
added
Oh, we
into the
do need to do that.
contract.
And I think we need that because, so we're gonna give each person a check, and then you have to have an account so you can come back to us and say, okay, we spent this, and this, but we don't want it muffled up with everything else.
You don't want to go into the general funds, into the big pools.
No, we don't.
does Winoka have a general fund that it goes to?
Yeah, we've actually, yes, but they're actually doing a different account. They've already discussed it and come up with, they're gonna have a separate account to run specifically out of it, so. That actually has already been brought up and discussed and something that we're going to do.
Okay, I was at the city council meeting in Alva. I don't know if they're planning on doing that. But if we put this in there,
Then they
They
have
have to,
to, yeah.
yeah, I think that we should put that in
I
there.
absolutely think
My
so.
personal, it makes it easier on us.
Yes, it does.
You don't have to go back and go through all their complete
No,
general fund. You just go to that fund for our auditor, which will be a lot easier on the auditor and you, Brett.
Can we put that under the miscellaneous heading?
You could either put it under miscellaneous, or it could go under its own.
I mean, I
headings.
brought it up at our council, that's what I prefer. And I think that's a pretty reasonable thing, and it keeps everybody on the same page, and it makes it tracking easier.
Right, I mean,
There's no reason for
when you
not
look at it, Alva is gonna have, a $700,000 budget. Well, the money that we're giving them, they're gonna use that anyway. So it just makes it easier to find for us.
Let's move the contract amendment down and put the separate account wordage where it is. And how do we want to word that?
I mean, you can just put like each unit, each service is required to, it's right there.
The Board of Trustees hereby requires that funds provided by the Woods County 522 Board
The resolution, yeah.
created or are held in a separate account from the,
Earmarked specifically for this service.
I would say from the city or county, or city or town's primary budget. So, or something like that, primary funds.
Don't ask me to repeat it because I'm just going to use the video.
Okay, the Board of Trustees hereby requires that each municipality provides a designated bank account for the funds earmarked by the 522 board.
Allocated.
Or provider.
Allocated.
Each
Yeah, provider, yeah, instead of municipal.
Establish a separate,
Bank account.
each provider establish a specific account and separate account.
For the funds allocated from the 522.
From the trust, yeah.
From the general fund.
For these funds, I don't think we have to say separate from the town's general fund.
I kind of think you do because you're gonna get into where Alvo just wants to put it in their general fund.
They'll put the funds in the general fund and it'll be
It'll just
earmarked.
Okay, however we word it, I mean, it could say a specific separate account, but.
I think you would need to say that it needs to be a specific separate account because it's like ours, so our CARES money is designated in a specific account that's separate from our general 290 budget and activity budgets. I think
Did
you.
you write that down?
Yep.
Okay, who has the master copy that we'll present to Shelley for?
I'll have it, and I'll present it to Shelley. And then we'll go from Shelley to, well, Julie's gonna type it for me.
I was like, she's over there typing it already. She's gotta add number 10 and print it off.
Those 6 to 10 hours I'm talking about, a lot of it's right there.
What were you complaining about then? Julie did it all.
Because he's still doing a lot of it.
We have to converse. I can't type, I'm a hen pecker.
Separate account for appropriated funds provided by the 522 board.
Well, I want to thank you for your help this evening. I think you done a good job.
Are you gonna vote?
Do we have to vote again?
We've got a motion.
Oh, yeah, we
Second.
do. We have a motion, okay.
Clerk, may call the roll.
Chafee,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Adair,
Yes.
Phillips, yes.
Do we have any new business?
The only new business that I do have,
Hold on, time out, we skipped the next meeting.
Oh, yes, okay. Special meeting.
well, I don't see us having to have a special meeting now because we're not gonna write checks at the next meeting either.
Okay, so the next meeting will fall on,
No, they all have to be special because you didn't turn it in.
They will, it'll be a special meeting, but it'll be 3 months from now. What was that day, Julie?
The third Tuesday.
April 19th.
Yes.
April 19th,
I think.
Don't you need to have
Have
a
these
special
warrants,
yes.
your bonds
In hand.
before you can do?
so we just hold them.
Well, here was,
Lisa has a point of, do you need to have another one for the bonding meeting?
well, that's what I was gonna say though. The bonding meeting we do need to have, but we still, I mean, can we write checks on the next meeting? Can we go ahead and write checks and not really even having these things approved? The agreement and the, you know what I'm saying?
In order to get funds distributed, you need to be bonded, you need to have your bylaws and your contracts.
And we're gonna do
In
that the
place.
next meeting. So,
We have to have that to have an account.
yeah. So I think,
Got bills to pay already. What about this one, the
that's the
budgeting,
budgeting. I mean,
will they wait 3 months?
I would want to. We've got the money.
Well, the warrants have been issued and they're in safekeeping.
but I was told
Until
not
we
to
get
write
them
checks
back.
until we get bonded. I was told not to do that, but we can have a special meeting and get this bonding done, but we're still not gonna have the agreement and the bylaws.
We've got to have the bylaws before we have the account.
Okay, so no, we're not gonna write them, and so okay, let me ask you this, then, do we wanna have a special meeting in like a couple of months so we can get all that taken care of, and in the next meeting, we can write checks?
I think we do.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's look at another date in maybe,
February.
or March. The third
Tuesday.
Tuesday in March is gonna be spring break, most likely. I don't know if that is bad for you all or not. It's not for me, but it might be for you
I
all.
don't get to go this year.
The third Tuesday in March will be the 15th.
Jane?
The Ides of March.
I don't know, wait a minute, no.
You got enough grandbabies, you might have a house full of grandbabies that day, if it's all spring
No, I
break.
think I'm gonna be in Texas, actually.
That's my oldest birthday.
So March the what?
15?
I know, I'll be home. I'll be home for March 15th.
As having somebody that set it up, I would say if you can get the bylaws to the DA to approve them and then have a meeting, like if he'll read through them and approve them, then you have that. And then you can make your meeting for the 21st of February to be able to go on, because that gives you your ability to set up the account, and then you can actually be able to write the checks for your bonding.
Like that meeting could be short and sweet. You guys do the contracts and your bylaws and get them all signed
Yeah, that
and
wouldn't
pushed
take very
out.
long at all.
And that way you can start your account and start doing your checks the month after.
And that would give your cities a chance to read through, or your services a chance to read through them at their first meeting in February.
You said February 21st?
That's President's Day, I
The third Tuesday in February is the 15th. Yeah. So February 15th or March
But-
15th, they're
but-
both the third.
But we're also talking about between now and then, we've got to get these to the contracts
Oh, yeah.
to the
Okay, you're right.
ambulance people.
And the bylaws to the assistant district.
Yeah, I mean, that's maybe rushing, it's what I'm saying. I think we ought to go March.
I don't think it'd take that long. I mean, Julie's already got most of the stuff typed out.
You could send,
And
Correct.
Ashley can bring our Winoka. And
I don't think we will have a meeting before the 15th of February. Our council meeting is on top of that Wednesday.
I was like, so if we got it before then our council could approve it and be done by your March meeting, so you guys can sign off and approve everybody's contracts then and start your process.
I was gonna say, do you have to have a contract to be able to set up your account, or do you just have to have
No.
the bylaws? So
Bylaws.
really, I mean, as long as the ADA approved your
Bylaws
bylaws,
with designated signers. Somebody sign the signature card.
Which, can you bring those to the meeting, the signature cards?
Sure.
Okay. Well, tell me when you want to have a meeting.
Not
then.
on this meeting.
We can sign them tonight. But we better not, we better wait and do that next meeting. Okay, when is the next meeting?
You want February, March?
February 15th?
Okay.
That's my birthday.
Julie, you're bringing cake.
I was gonna say, we're gonna get cake in here. All right, so,
So.
we have a motion.
Yes, we have a motion to, is it a motion to
A motion to hold a special meeting.
approve? Yeah, a motion to hold a special meeting. I'm sorry, I was out of the loop. February the 15th at 7.
17:30.
That one.
5:30.
5:30, yeah,
5:30.
that's military time, 5:30 in the courthouse conference room.
You're making that motion?
Yes.
Well, I second it.
Is there any discussion? Clerk may call the roll.
Chafee,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Phillips, yes. Adair.
Yes.
Now, is there any new business? Joe?
Oh, the new business I had was, which we will do on the next agenda, the bonding. And it's very simple. I don't know what the price is gonna be. I don't know if I need to find out the price. You think I should find out the price by then, before then?
if you're gonna get other contracts, I mean, if
Okay.
you're.
I will find out the price on that bonding. We'll do that. So, sounds good to me.
Okay, that completes the new business. See no further business. This meeting is adjourned.